Big Brother isn't quite there yet. So the weather in Dublin has been rather unfriendly this weekend, so my buddy is going to vent on the company blog about his latest online experiences. He puts it mildly, this business revolves around online marketing. So you will not find here a hopeless rant about Google at all infringing on piracy. Yes, we all know they are doing it, and we know why. It makes them money and gives them the bargaining power, which ultimately translates, of course, into more money. And I am not paid, pun intended, to hammer that point home for anyone. However, I find it interesting to see how far they got in their ability to extrapolate from the data each user is forced to share with them in order to build a list of preferences and target visitors with ads. I consider this a good proxy for understanding how other systems are connected, from ads served on partner sites such as AdSense to visitor data like Google Analytics and the ominous Google Plus button. And yes, Facebook and Twitter buttons are not much different as well. Since an image is worth 1,000 words, I took a screenshot from my profiled Google account, which you can see below. Period. It says the demographics are, my buddy is age 35 to 44, yeah. Gender, female. Language, French. Oh my. I agree with him. They got the age bracket close enough, and I can certainly understand, like him, the language confusion. The gender is obviously wrong, and he assumes they extrapolate that from the gender distribution in my general area and are probably biased by the websites I do research for. Part of his projects are the fashion community related in-house projects. You can see slightly better from the list of interests they build on the online activity from this account. Google assumes he's into beauty and fitness, fashion and style, business and industrial, retail trade, retail equipment and technology, computers and electronics, consumer electronics, gadgets and portable electronics, MP3 and portable media players, finance, credit and lending, finance, credit and lending loans, home financing and mortgages, finance, investing, internet and telecom, email and messaging, jobs and education, college and universities, jobs and education, vocational and continuing education, computer education, shopping apparel, women's clothing, dresses, travel, car rentals, and taxi services. As he says, this list tells him two things. First, the proverbial targeted ads they serve are still based on casting a very wide net of possible interests. When people freak out about seeing how mortgage lenders and payday loans creep on their pages almost everywhere, it might just be greed. Those who are traditionally more expensive ads, and Google is trying to make more profit per click at the expense of mismatching your interests. It might be interesting to see if the BIOS in these algorithms, that is, displaying ads you're more likely to click based on your interests, versus ads that generate more revenue per click from the advertisers, changes based on Google's stock performance and other financial indicators. While I like the challenge, he says, I guess it's easier to buy a few rounds to some of their employees and get the information firsthand from verified sources instead. However, the second thing such ad hoc analysis is telling me is much more interesting. You can still muddy the waters for Big Brother if you throw in random searches and site visits with high enough proportion to your actual interests that turn your profile signals into white noise. Coupled with blocking ads, deleting cookies periodically, avoiding Google services where possible. Victor has an Android on his phone, but he doesn't allow it to call home. That is, phone home to Android and Google. And remembering to log off when not in a service, and this applies, of course, to Twitter and Facebook as well. We can protect privacy some more. He says he's not aware of any plugin, and one that could be trusted for that matter, that would trigger random searches on Google and visit random sites when the connection is idle, just to make your footprint too diffuse to have any commercial relevance. You could try a beta opt-out service that relies on do not track cookies and set up your browser to send out the same messages by default as well. With these said, it's worth remembering nothing is truly hidden or private once it goes online. If not Google or their little brothers, your internet service provider still has access to a wealth of information about you and can reliably link it to your address and billing details. Educating yourself and advocating for privacy might not be beneficial for an ad-based economy in the short term. However, the industry has long since lost its compass and does not deserve its clients' trust. This is the end of my buddy's rant, Mr. Victor. I have a counterpoint for you. While I certainly agree with 99% of what you're saying, I am probably even more paranoid than you, my friend. I use the pay service Delete Me from Abilene. I don't tell the truth about where I am living or visiting on all websites. In fact, I obscure where I live and what my actual birthday is everywhere, because as a U.S. citizen, I'm certainly aware of big data and data aggregation. I understand that you are not aware of things such as Track Me Not, which is very early software from the Media Research Lab from an educational institution, New York University. I think Track Me Not is great, and I don't depend on it all by itself. I also use Do Not Track Me and Mask Me. I assume Do Not Track Me only works by blocking online tracking from what the system knows about. I put a lot more faith in Track Me Not because it does do white noise generation on what my Google searches are actually about. My friend, I understand you are not endorsing Track Me Not or anything like this. However, I don't really think you've put the time into looking at it as much as I have. That is where we play on each other's strengths. I want our listeners to understand there is no blame here. It's a fast-moving world, and Victor and I research in separate areas, and it is a pleasure to have him as a research partner. I think between the two of us, we're just awesome. And I hope you have enjoyed this research piece. Come on back for more.